What's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Smile Today podcast, the number one podcast in the world to make you smile today. I hope you're having a blessed and amazing day so far. And if you're reading the title of this episode, we are on our sixth Q&A about forgiveness. This is such a great topic. I put this Instagram poll on my story, and I was thinking, man, I even have some questions about forgiveness because it's still something that I think about a lot. After giving my life to Jesus, Jesus forgave me, and it allowed me to free up my heart to forgive so many people. But when I think about it, I think there was a gap and there was a season where it was still hard for me to forgive, even after I gave my life to Christ. And what I did is I picked 6 questions that I pray, that can help you in whatever season that you're in. And you guys had so many great questions, and a lot of them were personal, and I would love to get to all of them. But I think these 6 cover every topic and every question that you all had. So, by the grace of God, I pray that this episode helps you. And I'm going to give you one regular answer and one faith based answer. So, for each question, I'm going to have 2 answers. Because another thing is, when I first got into my faith, I was still learning. Before I gave my life to Christ, I was still kind of learning these like foundational Christ like I guess foundations. Like this is a foundational thing. Forgiveness is always talked about in the Bible, and I just this is just something that's helped me a ton. So let's get started. The first one says, "Why does a person deserve to be forgiven?" And I want to flip this back to me, because I think it's like, why do I deserve to be forgiven? Let's reframe that. Why do I deserve to be forgiven? And I want to remind you that people make mistakes. We're human beings. We don't do things sometimes that we understand, and we feel bad about those things. And forgiving someone doesn't necessarily excuse what they did. It just frees you from carrying it, right? I talk about this freedom that's attached to it. Forgiveness truly sets you free, and it sets your heart free. And we forgive because God forgave us first, right? So, like, God has had this mercy and compassion on my life, and I just want to share that with other people. Like, the way He's loved me after He's forgiven me is just something that I want to show every single person, no matter what happens. It could be something as little as like someone cutting in front of me in line, or like cutting me off in traffic and like flipping me off. And it could be something as big as like a friendship where, someone did something so wrong to you, and you're like, there's no way I could forgive this person. And it's like, wait a minute. Think about how God forgave us. Think about the mercies that He has for us. And His mercies are new every day. So He continues to forgive us. And I thought that was just so encouraging. I was like, we just serve a God that constantly forgives, that is just so good. And again, forgiveness sets your heart free. That's why we should forgive. So that was a great question. I hope that helped you. This next one is so good too. How do you know if you've truly forgiven someone? Oh man, you know it because when you look at that person, that emotion that you used to have, like that anger, that bitterness, or whatever it is, like you're not even frustrated with them anymore. You just like love them. I don't know how to explain it. It's like finally, when you move on, you see that person again, and you're like, I'm praying for you. I just want what's best for you. Like, I hope you win in your life and you achieve all these amazing things. And it's just really like you've truly made peace with the person and the situation. And that's how you know you truly forgave someone. And again, like praying for their peace, that is something that you don't really realize that you start to do once you've moved on. You're like, you start thinking about that person that you forgave, and you're like, man, I hope they're doing well. Like I pray that they're doing well and their family's safe. And you know what I'm saying? It's such a odd transformation, but it's so true. So that's how I believe that you like truly forgiven someone. The next question is, how do we forgive ourselves when we sin or feel like we're letting God down? Oh man. You can't move forward if you're holding yourself in the past, right? Like the past is a place to learn from, not to live in. And everyone messes up, like I talked about. And grace means you're learning, right? So when you feel like you can't forgive yourself, you have to realize that Jesus already paid that penalty on the cross for us and our sins. And beating yourself up over it is not what Jesus desires for us, because he's already carried that weight for us. And I think that's so cool. And he just wants your heart. Like, he just wants your heart with him always. And when we talk about that freedom, again, freeing your heart, it's like you go to God, you run to God, and you say, God, I'm repenting from my old ways, and I know that I still fall short sometimes, but I know if I just give this to you, God, if I'm just with you in this, that I know that there's always something that you can do to transform my heart. So give it to God. Like, truly just repent, turn away from your old self, and just run to Jesus. And he is going to help you and guide you in everything, even when you mess up. Even when you feel like you're letting God down, you're not, because you're trying. You are trying to improve your relationship with him. And I think for so long I tried to avoid sinning. And it's like you're almost like tiptoeing and like jumping around hoops to not sin. But I'm like, wait a minute. I think sinning, it's not about not sinning. It's loving God so much that your desire to sin starts to go away. So you asking this question tells me that you are working towards a better relationship with the Lord, and that you are trying to love him more each day. And that's what he wants for you. I think that's so amazing. That's so encouraging. So keep it up. All right, quick break. Let's talk about something real. If you've ever scrolled through dating apps and thought, where are the people who actually love Jesus? I've got you. There's this app called Arc Dating. It's a Christian dating app built by believers for believers. What I love is it's not just about swiping on looks. It's about finding someone who shares your faith, your values, and your purpose. Every profile is Bible verified, so you actually know people mean what they say about their faith. You can filter by things that actually matter, like church attendance, family goals, and even lifestyle choices. If you're ready to date with intention and meet someone who's walking the same path, download Arc Dating today. Just click the link in the description, because real love should start with shared faith. Okay, I have one more thing to talk about, and it's something that is so important to me. I know life can get heavy even when we're smiling through it. And sometimes what helps us most is just having someone to talk to and someone who gets it. That's why I love Talkspace. It's therapy you can do anywhere, text, voice, or even video, with a licensed therapist who's there to help you untangle the thoughts that feel too big to hold alone. And here's the best part. It's covered by most insurance, and the average Talkspace user pays only about $10 a session. So getting help doesn't have to break the bank. Over 80% of users say Talkspace has helped them much more than in-person therapy. So if you've been thinking about starting therapy or just want someone in your corner, go to Talkspace.com or click the link in the description to start today. Because healing doesn't have to wait. Now, let's get right back into the episode. Ooh, this fourth question's good. Tips on how to overcome grudges. Okay, this is something that actually is so good. I used to just like, I'd be in a room away from that person, and I would just like write out like what I wanted to say to them, or I would like say it out loud, or if I was like frustrated, I don't know, I would just get it out, but not to them. I would just get it out. Whether that's through prayer, whether that's through journaling, whether that's through like screaming through your pillow, just let it out, right? You could even type out like a text message, but then you could delete it. Because I think like part of it is like giving a space to kind of, giving yourself a space to say it and kind of lay it out. And then I would point to like gratitude. I would point to something that's good in that situation. Because although you might have a grudge against someone, that someone is probably someone important to you that you love and you do have love in your heart for. And there are still good times that you've had with that person. There's still good moments that you've probably had with that person. So I always do that. So at first I'll just like let it out, right? Not around them. I'll just let it out in my quiet space, whether that's with God, or like writing it down. And then I'll just point to something that I love about them, something that's like good, right? I always like to look for the good in any situation, even if it's a negative, even if it's a grudge. And I think it's another thing about overcoming grudges is the same thing with just general forgiveness. It's like asking God to remind you of how much he's like forgiven you, right? I like this term. It says, remember who you were, and it's remembering who you were without God. And so the person that I was before I had Christ and before I was saved was like just this person that didn't care about what he said, this person who didn't care about his actions and how he made other people feel. And now I really do care. But my old self is, you know, that's that old person. And but Christ forgave that person. He forgave me, right? So when I look at this person who might be a little lost, who might be, saying stuff to you or something, and you don't know what they're going home to. You don't know what type of environment they're around. And I don't know. I always remember what Christ did for me, and I just have it in my heart to pray for them. Like praying through a grudge is just it's so important, you know, and just asking God to allow you to have that peace and that understanding for that person is so important. So I pray that that helps you. Ooh, this next question. Ooh, when it's time to stop letting people hurt you and move on. Hmm. I think it's important to forgive them and then not necessarily bring them back in your life, but to just set that limit and just be like, you know what? Like, I can still forgive you, but I don't know if I should be around you that often. Because some people we can't avoid necessarily, but we could still set boundaries. We don't have to text them all the time. We don't have to be around them all the time. We could just like kind of, I say loving from a distance, because we got to guard our hearts. And if that person keeps hurting you, it's important to guard your heart. And so I think forgiving them is a great first step. And I think it's, just about forgiving fully, but protecting your peace, right? I always say this, protect your peace. And that's because that's where you hear God's voice more clearly. That's where you're going to hear the voice of God and the conviction that he has for you. And he's saying, hey, like maybe it's not a good idea to be around this person. That's happened to me many times. Like even like with an ex-girlfriend, like literally God told me to like step away from it. And I did. But without that quiet time, without like being able to sit in God's presence, I wouldn't have known that. So I think that's so, so important. And this last question is so good. It says, do you believe in second chances? Yes. People change. People really do change. And I I was encouraged because I saw this like post the other day, and it was, who was it? It was this ex like OnlyFans model, and she fully like gave her life to Christ, and she like radically changed like in a beautiful, beautiful way. Like her whole life is completely 180. She completely quit like OnlyFans and all that stuff, and she is just like such a good like representation of like the joy and light of Christ. And I love seeing that. And I love when people have these testimonies where it's like, they take a complete 180 and like Jesus truly changes their life. And I related to that just because I was a person that I wouldn't even have recognized like 2 years ago. I would have like, if we sat in the same room with the person I was like 3 years ago, I would be like, who is this guy? Like, I don't even know who you are. And it's just so cool how Jesus transforms people. And so I absolutely believe in second chances because God renewed me. He redeemed me in the same way he redeemed that OnlyFans model. But truly, like when I say that God gives us new mercies every morning, I mean that. I mean, I believe in second chances because it's it's God who gave me the second chance. It's God who can give everyone a second chance and a third chance and a fourth chance. Like there's so many chances that he gives us to truly like turn away from the earthly desires and focus on him. And I think that's so awesome. And I just love seeing that. I truly do. I just love seeing how people are constantly transformed. So yeah, that's all the answers for the Q&A, guys. Thank you so much for watching today. I hope you have a blessed day and make sure to smile today.